2 part of the session as well. It was really fantastic because we had this unusual run where in the first half, Fabio Quartararo looked like he might actually be quick and get up there. It didn't work out. So it was Pecco Bagnaia taking his 11th career pole position. He's coming off the back of having 4 previous victories. And if he goes in tomorrow and gets a victory and Quartararo only scores 2 or 3 points, the gap in the championship reduces to around about 8 points. Now, thinking that it was about 55 when we came back from Silverstone, Quartararo has let this go massively. It should have been an open and shut goal, and it really has dramatically gone back through on the system as well. So that's what we happened in qualifying as well, and the bigger things as well. But I know as well, if everything's now fixed with Joe's side as well and things, that you want to talk more detail about what happened in the MotoGP weekend so far.
Yes, definitely. One of the big things with MotoGP, it is going to be, I think, a race where we may see a big surprise or we may not see a big surprise because Pecco Bagnaia going to try to make it 5 in a row, 7th of the year. Amazing stat, Josh. Last 9 races, he's either DNF 3 times or he's won. That's it. Win or bin it. He's on the pole again, an all Ducati front row. Miller and his future teammate Enea Bastianini in the front row with him. Do you anticipate Pecco Bagnaia and Ducati to just dominate this race?
Coming into the weekend, I thought, this could be good for Honda with Marc Marquez looking really good as well. He was constantly surprising me about how quick he was on that bike after doing the Mazzano test and being only a few fractions off of finding time as well for Q2. I thought, Marc Marquez might be an outside shot to get a victory as well because nobody ever writes him out. Then in practice, we saw, the Yamaha's having a bit of a problem. And we thought, the Ducatis are still always fast. So it was only sort of confirmed to me in the final moments of qualifying that it's the factory Ducatis that are going to have a dominating race. Bagnaia on pole, Miller second, Bastianini third as well. Inside the top 5, there are 4 Ducatis. It's Aleix Espargaro on the Aprilia who sort of stops it. Quartararo starts 6th on the grid. So, I think this could be 5 in a row for Bagnaia. And, of course, this is the race where a year ago he battled Marc Marquez and took his first ever victory. So anything is possible at this strange circuit here in Aragon. And look where Marc Marquez as well, 13th on the grid. Kyle Crutchlow returns to MotoGP, replacing Andrea Dovizioso. He's 19th in the field as well. So it's not as bad as we were thinking about the riders coming back for such a long time away. The only one who has is Alex Rins, who's pulled out of the weekend. Sorry, not Alex Rins. Johan Mir, who's pulled out the weekend after his broken wrist and ankle from Austria. He's backed out the weekend as well. Alex Rins said that he's going to continue throughout the weekend as well, despite having a little bit of problem with some muscle movement as well. So he's staying in. But Suzuki are really struggling without Mir. They are really, really struggling because this is their last season. They want to go out with their world champion on the bike, and they haven't got him. And he's ruled out now of the next 2 races because he's pulled himself out of Japan in a week's time. The 3rd race in Thailand, he could make a return, but I think Sylvain Guintoli might end up on the bike as soon as his fingers heal up a bit more.
That's going to be crazy just to think all that going on with the injury and everything. Just such a shame to see that all take place now. Want to think Fabio Quartararo, 6th place. Here's his record lately, especially under Pecco Bagnaia's winning streak. At Aragon, he has been 8th place last year, 18th the year before, 5th the first time. Starting 6th, he hasn't really gotten much of a podium. I believe just 1 during Pecco's win streak. He is really bringing that Yamaha to the front, which it does not have the pace for. Last 4 races, it just seems like I think Quartararo is losing a little bit of something. Do you think having a podium finish for Quartararo is really crucial to maintain his points lead in the rest of the year?
I honestly really would, because he's on 211 points as well. As I said, there's a 30-point gap as well. So if I look at my stat sheet here, Bagnaia's on 181. So 30 points between them as well. You get 25 for a race win as well. 1 mistake from Quartararo at any point in the weekend and any point in the remaining races as well. 5 after this. It's game over. So everyone's really struggling. As Disma says, watching from Indonesia, great race early on in the year for MotoGP as well. So I think Quartararo is fearing as well. He hasn't won a race since Germany as well, which was the race before the summer break. Bagnaia's come back and he won every other one. He's Silverstone onwards, Austria as well, San Marino. He has been constantly quick, and I didn't expect this from him. He's come back. He was, 55 points back. At one point in the year, he was 66 back. He's now halved that with a couple of races to go. This fight is not over, and Bagnaia seems to be a late bloomer. So with all that pace that Ducati's got, Quartararo has dropped off massively. As you said, only one podium in this 4-race streak for Bagnaia. He needs a podium here tomorrow. It is going to be tricky for him as well, because he's going to have a lot of faster riders in front of him, and he's got Marc Marquez behind as well, who seems to have just sort of clicked back into place like he's never been away. So Quartararo, it's crucial he gets a podium. I'd even say it's more crucial he gets the win, because that'll put him a lot more further points ahead in the standings as well. So every point matters now for everybody. And realistically, Alesia's bad qualifying and the bad pace has been shown this weekend. 2 crashes, very unlike him. Vinales, his teammate, had his first crash of the season in end of Q1 as well. So I think as well, it's now going to be that Aprilia are not going to go for the title this year, and they'll go and get themselves ready for next year. It's a 2-horse race, and once again, it's Quartararo versus Bagnaia.
I have to agree with you when it comes to Aprilia. It just seems, with what we saw to Maverick today, Alesia's hasn't been putting in the results lately. Seemed like they got that first early start, that boost of momentum, contend for the championship, but now they're in third. I think it's going to be almost done for the Aprilia team's championship hopes. We know Honda, their championship hopes were done. And a question from the chat from Joshua from Demas. Do you know Marc Marquez comeback? I guess I'll sort of refine that more. You surprised Marc Marquez has decided to come back, especially right now at this point in the season?
Yeah, I am a bit surprised that Marc's decided to come back. He's not 100% fit. He's like 96% fit. He just wanted to get back on the bike. And the only reason he's back on is because he's spent the last couple of months since May going through and looking at all the other teams, getting all this data as well, getting ready for 2023. And he's looking at Pol Espargaro making a complete hash of it all as well. Nakagami crashing every so often as well. The LCR team, not only on the Repsol, but also the factory LCR, they're having zero data. And they need Marc Marquez. He's the only consistent one. So Honda have needed him an awful, awful lot. And I honestly think as well, coming through, that without Marc on the bike, they wouldn't have won 2023 with Johan Mir on the side of it as well. So it's important that Marc's in the last few races to get some data on the bike, get some data for 2023. And honestly, I think he is 100% fit. He looks fantastic. He's done some mega Marc saves that we've seen in the past. He's looked fantastic once again. So I think, yeah, this is a good decision for Marc to come back. The doctors passed him fit. He did really well at the Mazzano test. He's ready. And you can clearly tell he's loving every second being back on the track. So, yeah, Marc Marquez being back, correct decision. And it was needed for Honda.
Yeah, he seems to be really happy back on the track. I think he could be contention for this. Now, of course, when he is back this weekend, he could really play a spoiler role, or at least hope to be a spoiler, because we know he's going to try to go out there. He'll love to get a win. The headlines will be huge. He just missed out making Q2. He's going to be starting 13th place. Last 5 races here at Aragon for Marc Marquez, 4 wins and a second place last year. Last year, of course, when he was still maybe 100%, maybe not 100%. If he's going to be racing up front, how does Marc Marquez approach a race, especially if he's around Quartararo, Bagnaia, and Alesia's, who are all contending for a championship? We see it in NASCAR quite often. You don't want to interfere with the championship racers. How will Marc Marquez handle this?
Marc's on 60 points in the standings. He's pretty much towards the bottom half as well. I think Bezecchi's just ahead of him as well and just below Marc in the standings. Quickly looking at my stat sheet as well, I think would be Nakagami on another Honda as well, just below him. So Marc will go with the knowledge he doesn't want to get involved in someone else's title fight. Marc is a very honourable man in that respect as well. But then Marc Marquez is Marc Marquez. If he senses an opportunity to win and dominate, he'll go for it. This has reminded me a lot of when Valentino Rossi returned after his broken leg, or even Michael Schumacher after his broken leg in 1999 as well. Marc's going to go. He's amazed us all this weekend. He only missed out on Q2 because of the crashes with Binder and then with Vinales as well, bringing out the yellow flags. So he is starting 13th, but that's nothing to him. This track has got such an open back straightaway as well, where you reach over 320 kilometers an hour. So Marc is going to be right up there. It'll take him about 3 or 4 laps, and he'll be right at the front. And I honestly reckon as well, he's not going to care about the title fight. I think this is going to be a Marc Marquez that wants to announce to the world and announce to the riders as well, I'm back in 2023. You're going to have to fear me. Not Quartararo, not Bagnaia. You're going to have to fear me. He needs to see and prove everybody he's still top dog in that MotoGP paddock. Because, to be honest with you, I think he is the top dog. Quartararo, yeah, he's dominant the first half of the year, but he's terrible in the second half of the year. And it's the reverse for Bagnaia. He's terrible in the first half of the year and fantastic at the second half. So Marc Marquez is always consistently good. We went through, was it 2019, where he was first or second in every race. So Marc is still top gun, and I think everybody now needs to be reminded of that. I think we're going to see that over the next couple of races. I don't think he'll win. I think he'll actually win next week in Japan. Home pressure of Honda, a circuit he loves. Yeah, Marc will win in Motegi next week.
I got to Japan. I have to agree with you. I think he's going to be a contender to win. Probably will be my pick, a winner pick. It'll be interesting to see. But with that said, though, one of the things when it comes to winning the race, Pecco Bagnaia, we said he's the favorite. Marc Marquez, he could play the spoiler. Marc Marquez is not going to really have another Honda up front with him. Pecco Bagnaia, all those Ducatis are going to be up front with him, and he's starting on the pole. So if he gets a clean start, I sort of anticipate Jack Miller to sort of just play hard to get around. Enea Bastianini, he'll love to go out there and get a win, but he sort of knows that's his future teammate who's really trying to catch Quartararo. Do you think it might get interesting if you have, say, Marc Marquez up to 4th place? Does Bastianini make it really hard for him to go around, or is Bastianini going to just try to get around for the win around potentially Pecco?
I think Bastianini needs to take this as that he's got the Ducati seat for next year as well, and he does need to sort of prove himself as a separate entity. He can't risk becoming a second rider in the team. So, and Bastianini, don't forget, started the year as the dominant form. That Guineschi bike had something brilliant at the start of the year, and he won the opening round, then he won round 3, and everyone was like, oh, he could actually be the world champion this year. Then Quartararo just took off, and now he's failing again. So, I think as well, for Bastianini, he's got to really go for it as well. Bagnaia needs to sort of understand that he's not going to have this Ducati team his own way. Ducati have only kept him because there was nobody else ready to put in there who's a capable race winner. Bagnaia's got a lot of work to do in order to prove himself as a world champion. And this is why I think as well MotoGP is so interesting at the moment, is because no one team has a solid lineup. Every single team is broken in some respects. Ducati, we've got Bagnaia, great rider, but broken. Jack Miller, who sort of doesn't want to be in the factory Ducati anymore. At Yamaha, you've only got Fabio Quartararo doing points. Fabio Quartararo is leading this championship on 211 points. His teammate as well of Franco Morbidelli. I'm just trying to find him on the stat sheet, actually, because he's so far down in the championship order, I can't actually find him. In fact, I really can't. Morbidelli, 26 points. That is the same bike, the same machine, Franco Morbidelli, who everybody was going like, oh, God, he's going to be fantastic. He's this brilliant driver. He's the 2017 Moto2 world champion. He's going to be great. Why is he only 26 points? Why haven't they thrown him to the wolves like they did with Vinales, who was scoring hundreds and hundreds of points? So that's broken. Honda are broken because they've lost Marc. They've got him back now. But Polo Spargo crashes every single weekend as well, and he's cost them so many points. So, yeah. Every team is broken. Everybody's got the broken part, and nobody's got a whole team, which is why I'm really excited to see who's going to have the best opportunity. Because I think next year, Bashi is going to be the top one at Ducati. I think Marc will have a very strong team with him and Mia. I honestly think we could be seeing a Ducati versus Honda battle and Yamaha thrown to the back again, like we saw them have trouble between 2015 and 2017. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to the end of this year, which is usually, I'm sad about it, and then I'm really looking forward to 2023 already.
2023, I think it's going to be really exciting. And I think you bring up a really great point because I was wondering the same thing. I know a contract's a contract, but 26 points only. Fabio Quartararo has really been carrying that Yamaha. Frank Morbidelli, especially when he was with the Petronas, looked really strong, and then it just seems he comes to the factory team and it's just been flat, nothing. I mean, really shocking, and it's really interesting. The factory Ducati team, they got both riders up the front, where Suzuki doesn't have both riders. Honda, they might finally have one rider up in the front. Yamaha, very good point. And Joshua, before we go, we got to ask you for pick a winner. We got 2 races, MotoGP, and then the Bristol NASCAR night race. That's going to be unpredictable. What are your picks for both races?
Kevin Harvick for NASCAR. I think I'm going to go as a bit of a safe bet there as well because it is so unpredictable. But for MotoGP tomorrow, I will go for Pecco Bagnaia. I think he'll do 5 in a row because it's not that unheard of, and the Ducatis are so strong around him. I've just got that feeling. But I really want to. I want to say to people as well: do not count out Marc Marquez. Absolutely don't. I don't think he'll win it, but I think he could lead at some point as well. But I think Pecco Bagnaia will be the race winner tomorrow.
Pecco Bagnaia, I think he's going to be the race winner tomorrow as well. It's going to be really interesting to see on the course MotoGP tomorrow early in the morning, and then Grid Life wrap up noon Eastern on Sunday. Since we'll be done with all the racing much earlier, don't have to wait for NASCAR JR tonight. Joshua, we thank you so much for your time as always, and we encourage everyone to click on the video links in below for Joshua's channel for all of his watch-alongs, including this weekend. You got MotoGP. Do you have any other races you'll be covering this weekend, Joshua?
Actually, no. It's only MotoGP. It's an unusually quiet weekend as well, and it's been highlighted in my diary as well quite a long time that it's the only one. So that's the only one written on my diary. Next weekend, it should have been the Russian Grand Prix, but obviously, rightly so, it got cancelled. So next weekend, it's MotoGP at Japan and 3 races of British touring cars as well. So another very easy weekend. We're getting into the time of year now where my diary suddenly becomes less like a heart attack as well, where we've had 7 races on one weekend, because the week after that, it's Singapore and it's MotoGP at Thailand. So we're into a very nice part of the year now where we can all just start to quietly relax. So yeah, only MotoGP this weekend as well.
Only MotoGP, and we thank you so much, Joshua, as always. Definitely encourage everyone to click the links below for Joshua's channel. Now let's go over to Kobe, Matthew, and Adam for NASCAR at Bristol.
Thank you, Joe. And hopefully my internet will stay up. Been having a lot of issues this morning on the East Coast for some crazy reason. But coming to Bristol Motor Speedway, a place with an eventful history. Many consider the Bristol Night Race a crown jewel event. Tonight, 4 drivers will see their championship hopes come to an abrupt end. Kevin Harvick, Chase Briscoe, Austin Dillon, and his future RCR teammate Kyle Busch are currently outside of the top 12. Kevin Harvick's in a must-win situation. Many are predicting that he can pull through and get the win, considering his form in the second half of this season and his strong run last year until that contact with Chase Elliott ended his hopes. Harvick started in 7th, and teammate Chase Briscoe's on the front row. Eric Almirola won the pole, and Cole Custer starts 11th. A really good qualifying day for SHR. Do you see both SHR drivers advancing to the round of 12, one driver, or neither?
For me personally, I want to say 2, right? But I think it's only going to be 1, and I think it's going to end up being just Chase Briscoe. But, first of all, I want to, Stewart Haas Racing, I don't know where they came from. Apparently, once Kevin Harvick said we should have got Kyle Busch, they were like, okay. And then 4 drivers in the top 11, even Cole Custer up there. That's pretty remarkable. But I think, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for Kevin Harvick to be able to get this done. And he's in a good starting position, though. I think he can easily make his way through the field. But the problem is that he's so far behind in the points, right? 36 points behind. He's got to hope, what happened with the Xfinity race. A lot of people that are in contention wreck. He's got to hope something happens to Reddick. He's got to hope something happens to Cindric. All the guys, Kyle Busch even. I don't know how he'd feel about that, nonetheless. But I think Briscoe does get in. I do a pick on Instagram. I usually pick 4 drivers, average out the finish. And Briscoe, this is the first time I've ever picked Chase Briscoe because I think he just showed up. He showed up at Bristol Dirt dominant. And obviously he had a terrible dive bomb move that took him and Reddick out, which is the main reason why Kyle Busch is in the playoffs. But I think Briscoe can get it done today too. I think he's going to have a great race. And that's just the only issue for Harvick is that his teammates are doing better right now than he is. He's just had bad luck. I mean, we were all confident, right? Darlington, we're like, oh, the closer's going to get it done. Then his car goes kaboom. And then where were we last week? Oh my gosh, Kansas. Well, yeah, he's going to get it done. And then Chastain and Bubba had a block, and then all of a sudden Harvick's done again. So I don't think he can get in. I think Briscoe has to have a good day. And as long as if Cole Custer's up there, he's got to help Harvick. He's got to push his old man to victory. So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I think Chase Briscoe is the only one from SHR that advances to the round of 12. I mean, I truly thought Kevin Harvick was going to get it. I truly thought Kevin Harvick was going to get it done at Darlington, and then you mentioned Matt about his car last week at Kansas. I thought Kevin Harvick was going to get it done there, so I think it's only going to be Chase Briscoe advancing to the round of 12 for Stewart-Haas Racing. But Kevin Harvick knows he needs to win tonight, so it's Bristol. Anything can happen around at the Great Coliseum.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you guys. I think Chase Briscoe obviously has the easiest route to get into the round of 12. He can easily just point his way in, have a good stage 1, a good stage 2, a good solid finish. He'll be good to go. But Kevin Harvick, I believe he's 35 points back right now, so he's definitely in a must-win situation. And I think Harvick is capable of going out there and winning, but I really think it's going to be quite a competitive race tonight, and there's going to be a lot right on the line. So unless he goes out there and wins, Kevin Harvick, he might be on the outside looking in. A lot of pressure on that number 4 team to get it done. But if anybody can get into the next round, it's definitely Harvick. But right now, heading into the race, I certainly think Chase Briscoe's in a better position to advance than his more experienced teammates. And we're talking about Stewart-Haas Racing. Those Fords looking good. 6 Fords are starting in the top 10, 10 Fords in the top 20. A strong showing from SHR, Team Penske, and RFK. Surprisingly, there are some playoff drivers who did not qualify well at all, like Kyle Busch in 21st, Chase Elliott 23rd, Austin Dillon 28th, and Daniel Suarez down in 29th. The bottom lane has been the preferred racing groove. Many like to call it old Bristol, or as Adam likes to say, typical Bristol. The second groove up top really started to come in last night's Xfinity race. It's been a good place for the leader to get good restarts, but the bottom hasn't gotten going at all on the restarts. However, there's some fear that lack of tire fall off and struggles with the new car on the earlier short track races could mean a long 500 laps around the last great Coliseum. Starting with you this time, Adam, could this end up being a track position race, and could the drivers starting in the back be in trouble?
I think those drivers starting. I think those playoff drivers starting in the back. They're gonna have to get through all this craziness. I mean, we've seen people can wreck at any given time, and they can get caught up in a wreck easily. So I think tonight is going to be a track position race. You're going to have to race smart. You're going to have to race clean. You're going to have really good pit stops all night long. And yeah, I think we're back to typical Bristol again. So I think this is going to be a track position race. So it's going to be very key to see if those playoff drivers starting in the back can make their way through all this carnage and and have a solid finish.
And I'm gonna say it's gonna be more of a strategy based race, I feel, than track position, because I think this is my bold prediction. We're going to see the most interesting and probably most unpredictable Bristol race we're ever going to see in about 6 hours. Solely because these next gen cars, I mean, I love to listen to guys like Joey Logano and Kyle Larson, two of the best wheelmen in all of motorsport, saying stuff like Logano's like, I don't know what's going to go on tonight. We don't know how to drive this car yet. Anything can happen. And then Kyle Larson's like, this is the easiest car I've ever driven on this track. They're like, oh, so it's like two very different perspectives here. And I mean, just looking, you can't really compare the next gen cars to the Xfinity and race trucks and the truck series. But like, if you got to look at it, like, so let's go to the truck race, right? You had Zane Smith, I believe, finish second on 153 lap old tires in a 200 lap race. Then in the Xfinity race, Noah Gragson's the only driver who doesn't pit. His tires are around 100 laps old, and he wins the race. So I know there's 500 laps in this race. So I think you can't predict what's going to happen, though. That's the fun thing about motorsport, especially Bristol. You can't predict what's going to happen. Anything can happen. But it's just going to come down to strategy. I feel like like Daniel Suarez, for example, had a tough day qualifying practice in the bottom of the 20s and 30s, in both practice and qualifying. I think if he has a good day with strategy, I easily can see Daniel Suarez being in the top 5 solely based on the lack of tire wear and strategy. I don't know if it's going to be much track position, but as we see from a lot of these Bristol races, drivers who start outside the top 20 usually don't win the race. But it's just unpredictable, guys. That's all I can really say and keep repeating it. I don't know if the drivers in the back are necessarily in trouble, but I think it's definitely going to have a different strategy for those guys to put them up front. I mean, we saw it with Zane Smith. We saw it with Noah Gragson. It worked for Noah. I would say it worked for Zane finishing second to iRacing legend Ty Majeski. But, yeah, that's all I can say. We're going to be shocked tonight.
Yeah, and considering what we've seen at the other short track race, it really is unpredictable. What we can see tonight, it seemed like a lot of the drivers are really disappointed by lack of tire follow. You brought up the good point, Matthew, about the truck race and Xfinity race with the drivers. You know, they were able to run on extremely old tires and be able to keep the track position and not get out front. You know, typically in the short track race, you like to see tires that fall off a lot, so you can see comers and goers throughout the night. The drivers who push hard, they're gonna get burnt later in the green flag run. The drivers who save their tires, they're gonna be able to move up towards the front, while the drivers who push too hard and end up losing a lot of positions. And it's really hard to tell what could happen tonight. But I agree that it might become a strategy type of race, like we saw it during both Richmond races. You know, where you didn't really see as much as much passing. And Bristol, where hopefully the issues we've seen with the new next gen car on the short tracks won't be an issue, since it is Bristol, baby. And got a comment there. The chat room said, how do we think that Kyle Busch will do tonight? I think Kyle Busch is certainly capable of getting a top 10 finish, potentially top 15. But right now, I don't see Kyle Busch having a race winning car this weekend. And I'm sure Kyle is really happy to get the monkey off his back, that he knows what his future is, going to be going to RCR. He's looking to try to finish his last few races with Joe Gibbs Racing on a positive note, so both sides can move on. And we'll actually be talking about Kyle Busch in just a little bit. And we all know that Bristol's known for banging, hot tempers. Been an elimination race. We could see a lot of that and desperation. And Christopher Bell is the only driver currently locked in on points, so he's really the only driver who can feel comfortable right now. And tonight could be the first time without a single playoff driver winning in the round of 16. Adam, do you predict another non-playoff driver winning, or do you think we finally see a playoff driver get the job done?
Of all the years I've been here at Grid Network, I think this is one of the toughest questions I've ever had, and I've been going back and forth about this. You think about all the drivers who haven't won yet this year. You think about names like Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr. It's Martin Truex Jr.'s sponsors race tonight, so he wants to do good for Johnny Morris and everyone in Bass Pro Shops. Ryan Blaney, man, and we all know how crazy Bristol can get. So I think we're going to see a non-playoff driver win tonight. And all I know is get your snacks, get your favorite beverage, and tune into this race, because as we all know, guys, it's Bristol, baby, and I think it's going to be a crazy race since it's the last race before we get to the round of 12. So, as Larry Mack would say, reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time, because it's going to be a wild race under the lights in Eastern Tennessee.
Yeah, Adam, it'll be really wild if we saw another different winner, a non-playoff driver, because it's been quite a season, a parody in the NASCAR Cup Series, and myself thinking about one non-playoff driver who could get it done. Look at the driver who's starting at the back end of the top 10 there, Brad Keselowski. Bristol is one of his strongest tracks on the NASCAR schedule. And RFK, we know that they've been trying to develop their program and build faster cars. It's certainly been a trying season for Brad Keselowski's very first year as an owner driver in the NASCAR Cup Series. But, when you take on a project like that, it's going to take time before you finally start to show some competitiveness. And it seemed like Keselowski and that team have really started to find something these last few races. And if anybody could get it done as a non-playoff driver, I think Brad Keselowski can get it done. Because when you come to the short track, some of the aero related things you see on some of the mile and a halves and tracks like that, you can really cut down that disadvantage a little bit, because the short tracks, it really gives the driver an opportunity to shine. I think Brad Keselowski can rise above any disadvantage he has with his equipment to try to go up there and have a great race, because Keselowski is really, really good at Bristol. And got a question there from our ARCA commentator here at GRIDnet, Casey Campbell, saying, what do you think tire fall off would be like tonight? Well, Casey, if any of the other races and what we saw during the brief practice session, any indication, I think that tire fall off is not going to be significant at all, and that's quite a shame, because as I was saying earlier, when it comes to short tracks, tire fall off really is really an important thing if you want to see a race of comers and goers, and a lot of excellent racing between the drivers who are pushing hard versus those who are being wise enough to save their tires for the long green run. So I have a feeling that tire fall off isn't going to be a big thing at all tonight. And one driver that'll be getting more attention until his 2023 plans are announced has to be Ty Gibbs. We know where Kyle Busch is going, and Gibbs is most likely to replace him in the number 18 Toyota. So far, Ty Gibbs has run 8 Cup races, one top 10 finish at Michigan. He had a strong run going last night in the Xfinity race until contact from Noah Gragson ended his night. Matthew, do you think Ty Gibbs to the 18 is a done deal? And is this a smart move by Joe Gibbs Racing to promote this soon-to-be 20-year-old to the NASCAR Cup Series full-time? We saw the mistake they made of rushing Joey Logano to Cup too soon.
Yeah, I think it's no secret that Toyota does not a great job. I was going to say terrible, but they don't do a great job when it comes to rushing guys to Cup. And I truly believe that Ty Gibbs is a once-in-a-generational talent. People, the haters for Ty Gibbs, like with Bubba with the quieting, the haters of Ty Gibbs will say he's the silver spoon driver. I have never seen a driver with this much talent since Joey Logano is definitely Ty Gibbs. I think Ty Gibbs is a lot of what we thought Sam Mayer was going to be, and Sam Mayer's a great driver too. I think this is probably I'm trying to think of how to put this to not sound terrible, but you're losing the greatest driver in the history of Toyota, who has 28% of your wins, 56 of 198, has the most wins since 2008 since joining your team. First win for Toyota. First championship for Toyota, and then Joe Gibbs' second championship. Joe Gibbs' greatest driver in the history of NASCAR. This is what he wanted when he envisioned it, when he was coaching football, is to come in the NASCAR dominate. And it's solely because of Kyle Busch. But the issue is that Ty Gibbs is so talented, replacing the greatest driver in arguably the history of the top 3 sports with your grandson is going to do a little shade. But if Ty Gibbs wasn't so dang good, it would be more of an issue. But I mean, just thinking, I'm trying to really think of how to put this, Kobe and Adam. It's just, I don't think it's that much of a mistake. I really do believe Ty Gibbs would benefit from another year, but he came into 23-11. He's doing a great job right now. One top 10, but that doesn't really show his performance. I think he's doing a great job. But to replace Kyle Busch is going to be the biggest shoes to fill in history of this sport. I mean, argue actually Kevin Harvick and Dale Earnhardt, but that's besides the point. But I mean, I'm just so frustrated at the fact that what Joe Gibbs did to Kyle Busch in order to probably get his grandson in the seat. I mean, Kyle Busch with 56 wins with Joe Gibbs has 51 runner-up finishes. That's over 107 times Kyle Busch in the Cup Series has finished in the top 2 for Joe Gibbs. Then you go to the Xfinity. He had 90 wins with Joe Gibbs, and I believe it was like 41 top 2 finishes. So that's a lot. 200 plus, more than 250 top 2 finishes Kyle Busch has done for Joe Gibbs, and they're getting rid of him for a 20-year-old who is very talented. I just think they're rushing it. He's the Toyota development head. I'm sorry, I'm going on a long rant. I apologize, but Toyota you've seen a lot of drivers who have left Toyota and become successful. Joey Logano was a prime example. I don't think Ty Gibbs will ever leave Joe Gibbs and Toyota, but it's not the worst mistake. This might be one of the worst mistakes, actually, I think they ever make. But the issue is that Ty Gibbs is a great driver. So let's hope Ty Gibbs – all you can say is you got to hope that Ty Gibbs does great in this car. And you got to hope that Kyle Busch also does great so that this trade evens out. But that's all my rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, I think Ty Gibbs is very deserving to be in this number 18 Toyota. It'll be interesting to see how he gets along, assuming that this is the plan that he's going to be in this car. I think it's most likely going to be a done deal unless Joe Gibbs decides that they don't want to make the same mistake as Joey Logano to put him in this car. They wanted to run him and another season of Xfinity and let's say and let's say that. So Kurt Busch makes a decision to retire or something. Maybe they keep him at 23-11 racing, and the Toyota buys out Tyler Reddick's contract with RCR and puts him in 18 for a year, then moves him over to 23-11 because you can argue that 23-11 racing would be a less pressure environment for Ty Gibbs to develop, because if he's in that 18 car, that's going to be a lot of pressure on a young, soon to be 20-year-old kid out there racing at NASCAR's top division. But overall, I think Ty Gibbs is certainly a generational talent, one of the best young talents that I've seen come through NASCAR in quite a time now. But if anybody's ready for this challenge, it's certainly him. I know Ben Snyder from Grit Live Encore probably won't like to hear me say this, but I also think it might be beneficial for Ty Gibbs if he's running Cup full time next year, just to put him in as many Xfinity races as you can, so he can keep getting that track time, keep getting that experience. And that might be something that they're looking into for next year. If he runs Cup full time, get him in as many Xfinity races as you can.
And now it's time for everybody's favorite game here at Grid Network, Pick a Winner. And we take a look at our updated leaderboard standings here and use the hashtag Pick a Winner on social media. And if you're outside the top 10 and you get your first pick right, it is 4 extra bonus points. And when we get to October, it's 5 extra bonus points. So there's still a lot of races to cover. So let's get started. First up, MotoGP is at the Motorland Aragon circuit this weekend. So Joe, can Pecco Bagnaia continue his winning streak tomorrow morning?
Looking that he's starting on the pole, he got his teammate, future teammate, and 4 other Ducati riders up front with him. Yes, he won here last year. He'll do it again, get 5 in a row, and close the gap more on Fabio Quartararo. Pecco Bagnaia is my pick for MotoGP.
I'll say this: if Pecco Bagnaia keeps winning, he's gonna make this MotoGP title fight very interesting as we enter the final rounds of the 2022 season. Right now, it seems like Fabio Quartararo's consistency is just not going to be enough to keep up with the dominant pace that Pecco Bagnaia has, and I think Bagnaia is going to keep the good times rolling. He's going to get his 5th consecutive win. It's so amazing to see him having this amount of success and just completely dominating in this second half of the season.
And I'm trying to catch you and Joe Kobe. So I'm also going to say Pecco Bagnaia finds a way to get the job done at Motorland Aragon. Next, the NASCAR Cup Series is in Eastern Tennessee under the lights tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway in its last race in the round of 16 before we head to the round of 12. So, Joe, who takes home the Bass Pro Shops night race tonight in Thunder Valley?
Honestly, I have been debating this. I wish I could just say a driver and didn't get the points, but that's not how pick a winner works. If I have to pick one racer in NASCAR to get the win tonight, I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. He won here last year. He said for him this was the easiest Cup car to drive at Bristol. He'll love to get a third win and try to get some playoff momentum. Not been a year like last year where he had multiple wins. But I got a feeling he at least will know how to race smart, avoid the chaos. Kyle Larson's my pick.
Yeah, and on Instagram I do a 4 pick'em like I had mentioned. I had a very great last week. So I agree with you with Kyle Larson, and then my other picks were Briscoe Harvick. But I'm going to go James Dennis Allen Hamlin. I think that man who I said his full name, government name, I don't know if he appreciates that. I think James Dennis Allen Hamlin can get it done tonight because you never know. Like when Toyotas qualify well and practice well, the race goes a little iffy. So Ford does it today. I think Denny Hamlin can get it done.
I have to agree with Matthew. Denny Hamlin's my pick winner as well. He came close to winning last week. At Kansas, he was able to see his driver win, and he was very frustrated finishing second because he wasn't the one to win the race. But I think Denny Hamlin's going to go one spot better tonight at Bristol, and he's going to get to take the checker flag and celebrate all for himself.
We've seen 18 different winners this year in the NASCAR Cup Series. I think we make it 19. It's the Bass Pro Shops night race, so why not the driver of the Bass Pro Shops Toyota, Martin Truex Jr., why not him get the victory? So MTJ, driving the Bass Pro Shop Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, is my pick.
That will be very huge for him to get the win, make it another different winner in 2022. For 2022, we encourage folks, be sure to invest in the Grid Network. Call the show Mark and Robin have. They keep us on the air at the tracks as well too. We'll love to expand more in 2023. I will start getting up to that. So click the link for the Patreon or buy me a coffee. One-time contribution to the Grid Network. You can even make a contribution to a specific on-air personality. So any one of us will appreciate a drink for the work we put in each and every week. And be sure to follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Grid Ranking and Grid_History. Always posting content weekly. Be sure to check us out there. And check out public.com. $5 in free stock if you use the referral code GRIDnet. Great time to invest in the stock market. Use the referral code. You're starting off investing without using your own money. Then you can use the tools there to learn more about investing in the stock market. Make new friends. Find your existing friends. And then really start to learn and harness the power of the stock market using public.com. Programming note, we are on air noon Eastern tomorrow for Grid Live Wrap-Up since NASCAR's tonight. And then MotoGP tomorrow early in the morning, so we'll be on the air early. So be sure, if you're watching for the first time, be sure to subscribe, comment, and like, and hit the little bell icon on YouTube. Help us with the algorithm. We'd like to thank everyone viewing in, including we have Kathy from Rome, New York, tuning in. So definitely a big thank you for you to tune in, as well as Dimas in Indonesia and everyone else tuning in. For Matthew, Adam, and Kobe from the Podium Finish, I'm Joe. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time and enjoy the races. Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.